Allowing unrealistic client expectations to go unchecked isn't a fast way to lose a deal. It's a slow, painful way to lose one. You can spend months doing everything right and still have the deal die at the very end. Expectation mismatch doesn't kill deals early. It kills them after maximum effort. This is one of the most expensive ways for a commercial loan broker to fail. I'm Shane Walton, co-founder at the Commercial Loan Broker Institute. We've launched over 400 successful brokerages, and in this video, I'm going to break down best practices for dealing with client expectations. And these strategies are critical because brokers don't lose the deal when a lender says no. You can always take the deal to a new lender. You lose the ability to fund a deal when the client rejects reality. At that point, you can no longer deliver any financing that the client is going to accept. So realistic expectations are what determines whether a deal actually has legs or not. So we're going to cover here how to uncover client expectations and the exact framework that we teach for resetting those expectations with the least friction possible. Because your efficiency comes from killing the wrong deals early, not dragging them out in hopes that something magical is going to happen. A client with unrealistic expectations, essentially, they're not bringing you a deal. They're bringing you a time sink. And the most inefficient thing that you can do is this. You can perfectly execute a deal that was never viable in the first place. Put in all of the effort to it when it doesn't have any legs. That's like running a marathon in the wrong direction. No matter how good you work, how impressive your effort, how fast you are, you're still going to lose every single time. The truth is that hard conversations about unrealistic client expectations are unavoidable. You will have that hard conversation at the beginning or at the end of the deal, but you are going to have it. The only thing that you get to choose as a loan broker is when you have that conversation. Early honesty saves everyone time, it saves everyone effort. Late honesty feels like a betrayal. It destroys relationships. Lenders, clients, brokers all lose together when expectations are misaligned. If you've ever had a client ghost you after months of work, you know exactly what I mean. And now, to be clear, managing expectations isn't about being negative. It's about being accurate. You're not managing expectations to lower the client's ambition. You're aligning their expectation with reality. And your job as a business loan broker, as a capital consultant, your job is not to promise terms. Your job is to explain trade-offs. Deals aren't the client writing out a wish list for Santa. Each deal is a negotiation of risk. Is the borrower and the lender jointly agreeing to the price and the terms for the risk associated with that project? And that's the core frame that you need as a broker to teach every client. Lenders don't price the size of a project's potential success. They price risk. They don't price how big the borrower could win. They price how likely it is that that borrower is going to fail. Lower risk equals cheaper capital. Higher risk equals more expensive capital. And this means that there are only two ways to improve terms. You can either reduce risk or you can pay for it. And this isn't personal towards your client. This is just how capital markets work. And if you want a unicorn loan, you'd better be ready to show a lender a unicorn balance sheet. So how do you actually have this hard conversation with your client when they have unrealistic expectations from the start? Step one, first, you start off with empathy and permission, right? You're asking your client, help me understand what you would accept for financing, or what would make this deal work for you and what wouldn't. You can't reset expectations until you fully understand what their expectations are. So you don't just bulldoze in with, here's what's possible. You first you find out what they're hoping for and why. Then, step two, you explain how lenders price that risk. Once the borrower has adopted that mental framework, that understanding of how capital markets function and how pricing works, then you can move on to step three. And here is where you introduce conditional possibilities, not promises. Maybe you'd say that down payment that you're looking for, that might work if you inject additional equity. Or that rate that you're targeting, that might work if we can move to lower risk lenders. And here's what it would take to get their interest. Or that leverage might work if the seller carries part of the financing for you. You're explaining that every better term requires something in return, that there's no free leverage, there's no cheap risk. And if you first empathized and you've learned their perspective and their goals, and then you've helped them to understand the market's framework for risk pricing, then this discussion of conditional possibilities can be calm and logical rather than being fraught with your client's high emotions. They, at this point, with that framework, understand that every term has a cost. It could be cash, equity, structure, or price. But with this understanding, if your client wants the moon, they see you as their partner who is helping them to achieve that goal. You're no longer somebody who is holding them back. You're not an opponent. Instead, they're looking to you to help them understand what's the cost of the rocket fuel that we need to get to the moon. What is it that it's going to take to get them to their goals? And as you feel out how flexible the client is and realigning their expectations with reality, you are coming to your decision as a broker. Do you proceed? Do you move ahead? Or do you walk away? Because not all deals should move forward. If expectations don't reset for the client, you just saved months of effort for yourself, for your client, and for your lenders. And walking away early from unrealistic expectations, that's not failure, it's discipline. A broker who can't walk away will always work bad deals. And trust me, there's no commission out there for most hours wasted. If you're a broker and you want the scripts and the frameworks and all of the tools for these conversations, just type broker into the comments or DM me, and I'm happy to share resources or even schedule a free coaching consultation. And remember, managing expectations isn't about losing deals. It's about only working the ones that can actually close. So get out there, have some hard conversations, give big to your clients, and let's make the world a better place together.